Hello, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you some of my top tips for loosening up your animal paintings. All right, let's jump in. So my first tip is to set a timer for yourself and then get faster. So basically what I recommend doing is pick one subject. You can choose one reference photo that you really like and get all of your art supplies ready and set yourself a timer for 1 hour. Now, try to complete that entire painting in 1 hour. Sounds pretty impossible, right? But I want you to try it anyways. Now, you're not done yet. The next step is to use that same reference photo, that same subject, and get a new canvas or paper out, and I want you to do that same painting, but this time in half an hour, okay? Half an hour to complete the entire painting. And I'm sure you can see where we're going with this. I want you to do this again, but this time setting a timer for 15 minutes. Now, it's gonna get pretty messy at this point, but that's okay. We are trying to learn how to loosen up our animal paintings, and because animals are such a structured and identifiable subject, they can get really stiff and lifeless. So that's why loosening them up can really help to add some life to your artwork. So now that you've done your 3 paintings of the same subject, one in 1 hour, another in half an hour, and the other one in 15 minutes, if you want, you can keep pushing this. You can see if you can finish one in 10 minutes or 5 minutes. This is all about learning, so don't put tons of pressure on yourself to get this perfect. This is about learning, okay? My second tip for loosening up your animal paintings is to use a larger brush. Now, referencing back to our first tip about painting in a shorter time period, you're probably gonna find yourself grabbing for your larger brushes. And that's because you can cover more area with these brushes in a smaller amount of time. Well, that's tip number 2, is to paint with larger brushes whenever you can. Paint with the largest brush possible that can help you in that area, because you are going to be covering bigger areas at a time, but it's going to force you to get a little messy with it and a little loose with it, and that's what we want. So my third tip for loosening up your animal paintings is to embrace chaos and texture. So when you're painting with those larger brushes, or if you're painting super, super fast, you're gonna be getting some chaos in there. You're gonna get some texture. And rather than struggling with that and trying to cover it up, I want you to embrace it. That can look super cool in your animal paintings. It can add a really neat abstract or surreal element to it that gives it so much life and makes it so much more dynamic. So rather than struggling with the chaos and the texture, I want you to try to embrace it instead. Another tip is to release any expectations that you have on yourself. I know, this can be a little difficult. I find painting realistic animals, especially for a couple of years, it gets you to a certain standard of what you want. You want that animal to be recognizable, you want it to be detailed and lifelike and all this stuff, and we hold ourselves to these really high standards. I want you to release those standards. I want you to give yourself the mental space to play and explore and test things out without having that pressure of producing something perfect. Not everything is perfect, and sometimes you need to be able to create messes in order to learn, and you might discover something amazing in that space. So release those expectations you have on yourself. Another tip is to physically paint faster. So we're trying to loosen up our style a little bit, and when you force yourself to paint faster, so for instance, like if you were timing yourself, or if you consciously are just painting faster, so you're using physical movements that are faster, it's gonna force you to loosen up a little bit because you're gonna get a little messy and you're gonna create that chaos and that texture, and it's all starting to kind of piece together and create one big picture here, and that's okay. That's what we want. So try making an effort to paint faster and see how your style begins to loosen up a little bit. The last tip I want to talk about today is going to be to allow yourself to move. I know, sounds weird, right? I'm painting, I should be sitting down or standing up in front of my easel or on my, at my table, at your drawing space or your painting space. There's not usually a lot of movement involved, right? I want that to change. I want you to take a physical step back so that you are having to extend your arm more. And I want you to, rather than just using wrist movements when you're painting, try using arm movements instead. Try to get some physical movement in there. If you're standing, even sway back and forth. Try standing on one leg. Just get some physical movement in there. And not only are you going to get some more blood flowing in your system, that's going to make you feel a little more alive and making some crazier decisions with your artwork. It's going to force you to get a little more adaptive and a little more fluid and a little more loose with your painting. And that's what we're after. All right, so those are some of my top tips for loosening up your animal paintings. Hopefully you found this really helpful, and I really hope that you actually give these a shot. Let me know in the description or in the comments which one was your favorite, which one you found most helpful. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. If you love seeing content like this and you found it helpful, please subscribe. I've got tons more, and I'm always producing more helpful content for my fellow artists out there. And if there's any particular topic or tutorial that you want to see, leave a comment for me. I love seeing those, and they all go into my big list that I eventually create tutorials for. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Do you dream of painting realistic wildlife, but you don't know where to begin? Then consider this your personal invitation into the Wildlife Painting Academy. Get access to a large library of real-time, in-depth tutorials, and learn how to paint your favorite animals easily. Check it out in the link of the description of this video.